I love going to the PolyMarket now and seeing what the probabilities are for the different rate cuts and hikes and pauses over the next year. And I was very surprised to see that if we're going to take a look at the Fed rate cuts in 2025, at most there's a 19% chance that's being priced in for three rate cuts in 2025.
Oh, so this is the number of rate cuts, not the amount that the rates would be cut.
Yes. Well, they're saying 375 basis points. I'm sure if it's like, if they did 3 rate cuts, but it ended up being 150 basis points, that they would count that as 6.
Got it.
Yeah. I find it fascinating that these chances are not, it's pretty good chance we're getting some cuts this year if a recession is actually going to start. And GDP is already printed negative, and consumer confidence is low. There's a bunch of actually markers that, hey, yeah, why wouldn't we have a need for lower interest rates?
I guess the other side of that recessionary concern, of course, is on the employment side. We did get some positive news today with non-farm payrolls up to 177,000 with a forecasted 130K, and unemployment remained the same at 4.2%. So while GDP is pulling back, we still have stable employment. And it starts to, if we start to see more of an inflationary environment, we start to get closer to stagflation, right?
Yes, I mean, I wish I had the numbers for the birth death rates of companies, but what we're seeing is that because the last thing that's going to move is the unemployment rate, right?
That would have to move in order for us to feel like we're closer to stagflation, right?
Right. But but that would be like the last number to expect. And I've been taking a little bit of a dive into the methodology that they're using to calculate the unemployment rate, and it's like, it's not even the same that what it was like 5 years ago. They're like playing around with these numbers, especially when you count the numbers that are in the public sector versus the private sector, and then the ones where the people have been laid off, but it doesn't count as unemployment until their severance is done. And so there's this weird delay, and then then everyone who's like in the gig economy, it's hard to calculate the hours that they're working. Like the whole thing about what's actually happened in the job market is weird. But what we actually want to pay attention to is the 401ks, right? We want to see if the contributions to the 401ks starts to diminish. Well, that's less forced buying that's happening because of passive investing, and that's going to be a problem for the market. So the unemployment, I'm sort of like wishy-washy with it at the moment because I'm not sure what to think. But when I pay attention to, let's say, the what was it? The PMI. Just pull it up here real quick.
Do you have a good resource on tracking 401k flows?
Twitter.
I've struggled to actually find a good public resource on that, so I'm curious what you found other than Twitter. But
well, the proxy is the inflows into the I think the Vanguard ETFs that cater to these sorts of things. But a lot of people pull that information from Bloomberg terminals, so that's why you get it on Twitter.
On Twitter.
But we have here, Peter, if you want to pull this up, I have the PMI showing, and I mean, this is sideways. Like I was expecting more of a leap up. We're getting some sideways action, some stagflationary actions here, which you don't see there in the, like, I haven't been able to see this anywhere else in the cycle, this sideways thing, which concerns me. We're in the millennial generation, we're used to our dot-coms, global financial crisis, whatever, with intermittent all-time highs in between. That's the game. That's what we were taught over the last 40 years. Why is anything else changing from this? And here we're not getting that. It's this weird sideways middling thing. So when you take a look at what's going on the S&P, well, this looks, let me just hide some of the stuff. This is looking a lot like the recession we had in 2022. Like it's looking a lot like that, where we're going to get a bounce maybe to, up to 6,000, which is what Ken Carson is saying, and then roll over. It could be, what was this? Yeah, 2 years. It could be a couple of years before we're even starting to get out of the stagflationary thing.